Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Capacity Infra Projects Limited Q2 FY22 earnings conference call hosted by IIFL Securities Limited. This conference call may contain forward-looking statements about the company which are based on the beliefs, opinions, and expectations of the company as on date of this call. These statements are not the guarantees of future performance and involve risks and uncertainties that are difficult to predict. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Anupam Gupta from IIFL Securities. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thanks, Neerav, and welcome everyone on the 2Q results conference call for Capacity Infra. From the management, we have with us Mr. Rohit Katyal, Executive Director and CFO. And from his team, we have Mr. Alok Mehrotra, President Corporate Finance, and Mr. Nishit Pujari, Head Accounts and Taxation, also on the call. I'll hand over to Rohit for the initial comments, and post that we can take the Q&A. Over to you, Rohit.
Thank you, Anupam. Good afternoon, everyone. We would like to extend a warm welcome to our Q2 FY22 earnings call. I hope and your loved ones are doing well and safe. Along with me, I have Alok and Nishit and our investor relations team, SGA. I hope everyone has had an opportunity to review our results. On the stock exchanges and our company website, the presentation and press release has been posted. Before I take you through the operational and financial performance, I would like to highlight a few points. Following Q1 FY22, the economy is showing signs of improvement, and many states have relaxed travel restrictions as vaccination programs have grown. Home registration surged throughout the festive season without the stamp duty incentive. This means that buyers are rushing to take advantage of current market conditions, such as fair prices and decade-low home loan interest rates, as well as the urge to take advantage of some seasonal offers. In Q2 2021, the outlook for leasing and rentals in the commercial office sector was positive. Due to excessive rains, we lost additional 10 to 12 days of work, which has hurt our revenue for the quarter. After Q1 FY22, labor availability has increased, allowing the projects to be executed more efficiently at all. As a result of the additional labor and travel convenience, our execution on the larger projects is picking up momentum and showing signs of improvement in both public and private sector. We are optimistic about H2 FY22, hoping that there would be no further surprises related to COVID. We derive our strength from the strength of our clients' balance sheets, and all the sites are fully equipped with all resources. Our focus for expansion will be accelerating the completion of all our projects, ensure that our working capital cycle as well as our cost rationalization strategies are effectively managed. Let me also take this opportunity to give you confidence that there is absolutely no challenge of debt servicing at Capacity. We have enough liquidity to run our projects, repay financial institutions, and bid for newer projects. India Ratings today have also published an update on the credit rating, and we are hopeful that the rating exercise will be concluded before the month end. Further, I am happy to share that we have commenced BDD Chawl project at Worli with revised plans. We are confident of significant movement upswing in BDD Chawl project. Workfront worth rupees 3,800 crores has opened up for execution. This project is in integrated SPV with Tata, and revenue recognition will start from Q3 of the current fiscal. Now allow me to give you an overview of our operational performance during the quarter. Order book. As on September 30th, 2021, the total order book, private plus public, excluding MHADA, was rupees 8776 crores. Our order book from the public sector accounts for 60% of the overall order book, while the order book from the private sector for the remaining 40%. The company saw cash collections of 587 crores in H1 of the current fiscal and rupees 305 crores in quarter 2 of the current fiscal, indicating strong collection efficiency. The execution momentum is expected to increase. Our constant focus on client service and cash flow management has undoubtedly supported our business model. Our standalone financials performance for Q1 FY22 is as follows. Total income for Q2 FY22 is 347.4 crores as compared to 382.4 crores in Q1 FY22 and 187.5 crores in Q2 FY21. EBITDA for Q2 FY22 is 65.2 crores as compared to 41.8 crores in Q1 FY22, up by 60% quarter on quarter. EBITDA margins in Q2 FY22 were at 18.8%. Margins have improved due to adoption of cost rationalization measures. PAT for Q2 FY22 stood at 17.2 crores. Cash PAT for the period was 42.6 crores. Debt levels stood at comfortable levels of 288 crores at gross level, and excluding promote loans stood at 235 crores. Our net debt remains stable at 89.3 crores in compared to 77.9 crores in Q1 FY22, while the net debt to equity ratio for the same period, 30th September 21, stood at 0.09x. With this, I now leave the floor open for questions.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Participants, you may press star and 1 to ask a question. The first question is from the line of Pritesh Chheda from Lucky Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Post the half year now, versus the 1900 crore revenue that we were thinking about for FY22, where are we on the execution side? And, this also meant a lot of improvement on the CIDCO project execution. Where are we on that particular part of the execution cycle?
So shorter question first, CIDCO project, the labor has been totally mobilized in last quarter itself, and the execution pace has picked up to approximately 20 crores a month. We expect the pace to go up from December onwards to 35 crores and approximately 40 crores thereon for the last quarter. Now, the total work front availability of our CIDCO out of 7 locations, all locations have been handed over. Work on 6 locations has already commenced, as was the case in the last quarter. We expect the work at the 7th location to start from this quarter. Coming to the overall revenue projections, we had given an upward revenue of 2,000 crores before the second wave had hit, and the revised projections will be communicated very soon by our investor relation team. However, we have remained confident of crossing 400 plus crores in Q3 and 550 crores plus in Q4. But these figures are still being tabulated, given that the entire projects across are totally manned and operational with all resources, and therefore the exact number will be communicated by our investor relations team to you maybe by day after tomorrow or by Monday latest.
Okay. So my second question is on this rating review. So what does this mean? This technically means we go back to where we were, or we go back midway somewhere between A and D?
That's a big guess. We believe that our balance sheet strength doesn't change over the last 7 years. It's only improved. Whatever procedural matters they had to look forward, that comes to an end on 21st of this month. And we believe in the subsequent committee meeting, they will take it up. Once they communicate to us, it will be communicated to you immediately. However, the update I think they have published today, which we have also uploaded, and that clearly states that whatever operational issues they were looking at have been resolved in totality.
So my last question on the internal control system, especially what we have seen in the last 6 to 8 months. One is the ratings thing. The second is this exit of certain professionals. The third is the way balance sheet was structured, and we opted a bit of equity, our own equity. So, what are steps that we are taking for a better internal control system, which also enhances shareholder value creation? Some thoughts there, sir.
First of all, Rahul Katyal was earlier the Managing Director and CEO prior to Mr. Sarojpati coming in. Saroj has not been keeping well for more than 6 months now, and therefore the company, while is thankful for his contribution, we have to let go when a health issue comes up. Therefore, on the other hand, we have added 2 chief operating officers. The company is manned with 3 chief operating officers at the moment in time, who report into the MD and CEO. The overall strength of the company from operations perspective remains to be one of the best in the industry. The V vouching is one thing, clients vouching is more appreciable, and I'm sure if you speak to any of our clients, that would be the case. Number 2, shareholder value basically comes from revenue increasing and profitability increasing while the debt levels being under normal control. That's what we have been exhibiting. Yes, we do appreciate that we have not been able to ramp up the operations to our own expectations, but that in no way means that it diminishes the company's track record of the last 9 years. We do believe that we have been more cautious after the IL&FS debacle, and then we all, industry-wide, had to face the COVID crisis. The order books remain robust with the MADA starting, and we will be able to include that revenue in our operations, hopefully from Q3 onwards. Gives serious visibility to revenue growth, and we are very confident that once the revenue growth happens with the orders which we have with 100% pass-through as far as our commodity prices are concerned, it will add surprise on the positive side as far as profitability is concerned. Surprise on positive side obviously creates shareholder value because then the market cap of the company also increases. Apart from this, there have been no exits basically, and therefore the investor at large should not be disturbed because all the key positions of the company are very, very well manned.
Well, just 2 clarifications. One on the MADA side, so it's a JV, so the revenue booking will happen at the JV or the number will come at the Capacit'e level?
No, it's a joint operation. There is something known as joint venture and something known as joint operation. This model is a joint operation between Tata Projects Limited and Capacit'e Infra Projects Limited. So they will be taking their share of income and expenses and profit, and we will be recognizing our share of income, that is revenue, expenses and profit. Obviously, the balance sheet at the SPV joint operation, joint venture level will be made. So you cannot have taking the income or the expenses without that balance sheet being prepared. So having said that, to clarify, balance sheet will be prepared at the LLP level. However, we will be entitled to our share of 35% from our operations, revenue and expenses both.
Okay. And so last question, when you ramp up the business, let's say at 1,900 crore revenue this year and a higher number next year, how should we see the debt figures moving for us, the net debt figure?
The net debt figures, if you study over from September 2018 to date, the net debt figures basically have been between 61 crores to peaking at 127 crore during the COVID period. We do believe that the net debt figures will, for the next 2 quarters, which can be foreseen at the moment in detail depth, will be at that level between that 127 crore and 50 crore level.
And the non-fund limit number, how will it rise?
This includes a long-term limit number.
No, non-fund limits.
Non-fund based limits, excluding MADA, excluding CIDCO and MCGM, which are project-specific limits. The remainder requirement is totaling to about 1,000 crores, out of which fund base is 190, so about 810, and those sanctions are already in place.
So non-fund limits will rise, or you will be able to manage within the 1,000 crore?
You see that current utilization is 454 crores. Therefore, we believe that we should be within that range of 900 crores.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, and all the best.
Welcome.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Faisal Hawa from HG & Company. Please go ahead.
We had new orders and, residential real estate has picked up really well.
Yeah.
This should cause developers to really, go fast on their projects. So are developers, ready to deal with you at even higher costs so that, they are more guaranteed towards faster execution and delivery? And secondly, sir, where are we placed on the ratings upgrade with the agency? You feel that could happen soon?
So the rating update has been published by India Ratings, and I just answered that we should see the rating upgrade happening in all probability before this month end, because the cooling period gets over on 21st of the current month. That's one part of your question. The second question is on the private sector side, we have added about 244 crores in the quarter, which are essentially repeat orders from existing clients. And we see this momentum continuing. On the front of new projects, obviously there is good momentum. However, project announcing and awarding of that project to a construction company by the developer could take 3 to 4 months. We see good traction in the public sector EPC design build projects also. The company has bid for a couple of projects, and hopefully we should be able to give you a good news in the current quarter.
Sir, we were also vying for some hospital orders. So is it possible that we get some hospital orders in this fiscal itself?
Absolutely. Healthcare is an important aspect of the government spend, and including state and the central governments put together, that figure is quite large. So it's impossible for any construction company engaged in F&B, the top 7, 8, unfortunately we are part of that elite group, to ignore the healthcare segment. We are already executing 2 projects. We are qualified already in another 4 of them, and those bids will be going in the current quarter. So we do expect that you should see some healthcare projects in quarter 4 of the current fiscal. Hello.
Faisal, can you hear us? Due to no response, we move on to the next participant. The next question is from the line of Dhananjay Mishra from Sunidhi Securities and Finance. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hello sir. Congrats on improvement on operating performance. Just wanted to check with this 10-12 days lost, how much revenue we have lost in this quarter, and in last 3 months, because of our current status on rating, is it affecting our ability to participate in new tender?
Number one, on the private sector side, as I told you, we have already taken 244 crores of additional orders. So that rating action taken, for which justifications were given, and our side of the facts were posted on the stock exchanges. It has not impacted the private sector at all. On the government side, I just mentioned we have submitted 2 bids. So again, it has not impacted our ability to bid for any projects. The other part is that 12-day loss of additional loss due to heavy monsoon, especially in the September month, has cost us close to about 38 to 42 crores of revenue. And hopefully you will see that figure coming back much more stronger in the current quarter.
Okay. So 30 to 32 crore we have lost because of this.
38 to 42 crores, say 40 crores.
Okay. And sir, earlier we were guiding on CIDCO part, like monthly run rate will reach 70-80 crore kind of. Now we are saying 30 crore, then 40 crore monthly run rate will reach in Q4.
Yeah, so, because we were expecting the seventh project, 7 Navade, Sector 43 put together, which constitutes 60% of the project to kickstart in Q2, Q3, which has not happened as far. We have received the first interim extension of 16.4 months from the client, and therefore we wouldn't like to add the revenue of the 7th location till the work actually begins. And therefore I have mentioned in my answer to an earlier question on this conference call that we are tabulating the project-wise revenue figures, and that shall be intimated to all the attendees by our investor relations team.
Okay. So existing project can reach to 50-60 crore monthly run rate by next year, peak revenue?
Yes. See, first of all, it's an ongoing project. There are 7 locations.
Yeah,
there is a delay for which the client has given extension. The second interim extension will also be given to us. However, we wouldn't like to speculate on the date of the handover and add the revenue at the moment. Having said that, without even CIDCO will add whether 40 crores or 70 crores in quarter 4, whether it adds 100 crores per month in next financial year, the company has a total of 26 projects. And all 26 projects are running quite well, and they should be able to give us the targeted revenue, which is our internal target in the next financial year of close to 200 crores going forward. We have to take into consideration some delays of handover, though they are not attributable to us, but then they definitely affect the revenue. So we wouldn't like to speculate at this moment in time the exact date of handover of the 7th location of CIDCO. However, having said that, we are very happy to see MHADA project underway, and that should add for any loss which CIDCO will post.
So in MHADA project, what is the kind of mobilization we have to put from our side, and what is the kind of advances we would have received?
The mobilization advance in MHADA project is 2% of the entire contract value of 11,744 crores. Out of that, we have availed 1%. 1% will be availed by the SPV in quarter 4, or as required. We are eligible to take that. Work front, as I mentioned, of 3,800 plus crores is already available, and we have started work on 2 towers. The working capital cycle over there, we don't see any fund-based limit requirements. Whatever term requirements will come up in quarter 4 will be taken by the SPV from NBFCs or from banks towards equipment loans. So since the billing breakup is already approved, the cash flows have been drawn up, and likewise in CIDCO, we don't see any fund-based requirements in this project either.
We don't need to put any equity in that SPV, right?
Whatever equity was to be put has been put by both the partners.
Okay. Okay, sir. So, and lastly, on private real estate side, so how we are going in terms of, because market is very, I mean, all agencies are giving very strong outlook for the sector for next 3, 4, 5 years. Yeah. So in terms of our what is our policy in terms of bidding for these reputed private developers in upcoming times?
You have been following the company for quite some time now. There is no change in strategy, client quality, client balance sheet. We wouldn't like to bid for projects on basis of a sanction of NBFC or an institution, because we have burnt our fingers in the past, and we wouldn't like to repeat that mistake. So we have the Godrej's of the world and the Oberoi's of the world, Brookfields, and our entire client list. And if any new client will be added. Maybe Wadhwa is joining hands with Marubeni, and there will be projects coming up from there. We have Raymond's also joining hands with multinational funds. We already are having work from them. Puravankara has joined hands, and we already are working, and we will continue to work for them. So the existing list of those 20-25 clients which we have itself gives us a very strong visibility as far as order inflow and also visibility on the revenue happening over the next 4 to 5 years. So that strategy remains unchanged. And obviously in the public sector also the strategy would be with working with good clients.
Okay. And sir, what is order inflow guidance for this year or next year and capital expenditure?
Next year we will give you when we meet in quarter 3 numbers. However, the current year we continue to have a guidance of 2,000 crores, out of which 500 plus or 600 has already been received, and we expect close to 700 crores in this quarter and remainder in quarter 4.
And capital expenditure for this year?
Sorry?
Capital expenditure.
Capital expenditure will be 75 crores to 85 crores as said earlier. So far, the total additions have been 27.23 crores in the year so far.
Okay, sir. That's all from my side. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Deepak Poddar from Sapphire Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity. Hello.
Hi. Please go on.
Sir, you mentioned about this positive surprise on the profitability side, right? Because we have 100% pass through on the commodity. So can you just elaborate more on the margins front? Now, I think we reported quite a decent margin, about 18% this quarter. Now, as the scale pick up maybe in the third quarter and fourth quarter, so how do you see the margin traction?
The margins for the current, you see, the margins of any construction company are established on the basis of the terms of contract, price variation, pass-throughs, on the day the order is received. Unless you have surprises like unwarranted surprises like COVID. So our cost to complete, superimposed for all the projects, is the basis of which we give you a projection of the EBITDA. On basis of that, we do believe that the EBITDA levels will be maintained at the levels which you are seeing over the last 2 quarters, going forward in quarter 3 and quarter 4.
Will be maintained what we are seeing in last, because anyways our first quarter margins were quite low, right? So the second quarter you are saying it's sustainable going forward.
You see, the first quarter margin cannot be compared because we lost serious revenue. Like we lost 40 crores of revenue this quarter. Okay, now if you are going to lose, let's say 100 crores of revenue in quarter 1, then the indirect costs, the fixed costs, which are directly proportional to the revenue, will go up, thereby hurting your EBITDA and net profit margin. As soon as your margins go up, you have to look at what was for the quarter ended 31st March 2021, where the company did a revenue of 382 crores. The EBITDA margins were close to 20%.
Correct.
So, as our revenue picks up, you will see the improvement, and obviously as a percentage, the depreciation also will fall, and therefore give a fillip to the net profit numbers also. The cash profit has been very consistent over the last 3 years, which is available for you to see.
I understood. That's a fair point. And now on the revenue side, you did mention that we lost about 40 crores odd of revenue. So even if I adjust, we would have done about 385 crores kind of a execution level, and we are talking about maybe 400 crores execution in third and 550 in fourth quarter. So are we being conservative here, because we are already at 380 crores in a rain quarter, September, which is generally a kind of a low quarter. So yeah.
I'll explain to you. The quarter 2 revenue was lower on 2 accounts. One was the monsoon, of course, and second one was that we couldn't take our share of revenue of MHADA in Q2 because of technical issues. Obviously, that revenue numbers will come in quarter 3. Quarter 4 also will have certain revenue numbers from MHADA. So while I am being conservative, because of the 7th location not still being handed over by CIDCO, because my earlier 2 guesses have failed, and I wouldn't like to take any further guesses. So yes, it is conservative, but we are extremely clear that the numbers which we have told you will be met and bettered.
I understood. And my final
Sorry to
query.
interrupt you. May I request you to come back in the question?
No problem. Okay, that's.
Thank you. I request to all the participants, please restrict to 2 questions per participant. If time permit, please come back in the question queue for a follow-up question. The next question is from the line of Jiten Rushi from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for taking my question. Sir, one question on the MHADA side. So as you said, we are expecting to book revenue from Q3 and Q4, and which will form part of our income. So what kind of revenue run rate we see in terms of our share or going forward, and probably in FY22 or 23?
At this moment, the SPV has estimated that they will be booking a revenue of close to 200 crores by 31st of March. And in the next financial year, we should be close at the SPV level of 700 crores plus. So 35% will be our share.
Okay, so that will be, and sir, the margin run rate, what we see in our standalone books, we will see the same margin run rate in that SPV?
Because that is even more detailed engineering and design, you will see the margins at slightly better level, if not the same.
So we can expect better blended margin, the standalone level of between 18 to 20% going forward, if I may.
Yeah, because whatever margin projections we give, as I said, I reiterate that it is given on the basis of cost to complete value of all the projects superimposed, and therefore MHADA obviously is included in that. So our projections which we have given is that we will be at the same EBITDA levels. The PAT ratios will improve as the revenue improves, because the fixed cost as a percentage will fall, and therefore the EBITDA level guidance for this project also is no different from other projects.
Sir, and on the capex, do we need any capex in this project of MHADA?
Yes, we will require capex for aluminium formwork and certain tower cranes. That is being organized at the SPV level. We have already placed our order on MFE Malaysia for the aluminium formwork for 2 buildings. That should arrive in December, and therefore we believe that the casting of slab will start in January.
So crane you are buying from where, sir?
That we do not, that's a matter of the purchase committee to decide. I will only authorize one.
2 cranes. 2 cranes you said, right, sir?
Sorry?
2 cranes you said, no?
No, I said we will be buying equipments and formwork. Order for formwork has already been placed. Whatever equipments are available with partners, they will get it for the project. If something additional is required, we will be purchasing that.
So that number will get consolidated, no? So 35% will come in the standalone also, no? Like capex and the investment in SPV.
Yes, it will.
Okay. And sir, this run rate of 400 and 500 could obviously include 550 crore obviously includes MHADA. But I just would like to understand what would be the revenue from other projects, X of MHADA and CIDCO kind of run rate we are expecting in H2 and FY23.
Dear friend, this question answer is a very long one. What I suggest is that we can you can put a mail to Amit or SGA, but Amit would be the right person for this. He will give you the project-wise revenue, which will give you that why such a conservative projections are being given. But how the revenue build-up is happening on month-over-month.
Sir, one last question, if I may.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No problem. I will come back in the queue. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mohit Kumar from DAM Capital. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir, and congratulations on good set of numbers. So my first question is, while our EBITDA margin was pretty strong in this quarter. So I just want to know what is the fixed price contract in our order book, or is it entirely, or we have price variation clause in each of our contracts? That's the first question.
Yeah, there is a price variation clause in all our projects. Steel, cement, and fuel is 100% pass-through as far as the CIDCO project is concerned. MHADA project also has a price variation clause. That's on the government side. In private sector side, it is 100% pass-through for all commodities.
Understood, sir. Secondly, sir, how is the ordering pipeline looking at this point from public sector, especially in Mumbai? And do we have some number which you're targeting in FY22 and FY23? Of course, I do understand that our order book is very large at this point of time, but is some number you're targeting, and the ordering pipeline, if you can comment?
So ideally, we would like to maintain this 12,000 crore order book. So whatever is executed, ideally will be added. So private sector, I already informed that the pipeline is strong. Repeat orders continue to flow in. That's what we have seen in Q1 and Q2. On the public sector front, we see strong traction from all the big corporations in the state, as well as MHADA. So MHADA is coming up with 35 story residential towers across Mumbai and MMR. And as usual, we are one of the qualified parties, and we are participating and will continue to participate. I had given an indication in the last 2 investor conference calls that we will be a bit conservative for the next 4 quarters as far as geographies are concerned. And therefore, you will see that the order inflows which will come in the remaining part of the current fiscal will also come from Maharashtra. And we do expect, as I told you, a total inflow of about 2,000 crores, of which close to 600 crores has already been received, and 650 to 700 is expected in the Q3 and remainder in Q4. For FY23, we will come back to you when we are on the call for Q3.
Thank you, sir. Best of luck, and I hope to see a strong momentum of revenues as we enter FY23. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Jainam Shah from Equirus Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, so just wanted one clarification about this MHADA project revenue recognition. So you said that it will be part of our consolidated, or it will be coming under our standalone numbers, the revenue and the PAT number?
It is a joint operation, so it will be in our standalone number.
It will be under a standalone. And the number that you have given about that 400 crore and 550 crore, it is inclusive of this MHADA execution? For this
sir, again, I told you, as I have explained earlier, we are consolidating our numbers for the next 18 months, and that should be ready in a couple of days. And our investor relation team, or if you know Amit in our company, you can mail it to him and he will give you the details immediately.
Okay. And sir, one follow-up question. Sir, as our rating has been moved to the D, so has there been any impact on the interest rate for the borrowing? So as in general, the interest rate moves up with the rating of D. So can we see some higher interest portion for some next 6 months or so?
No, banks have been supportive, and I believe that the rating will be in place before this month end. And the banks have been supported because they are aware of the facts of the case, which we have provided back with documentation. So we only are waiting for some release of additional BG limits, which should happen by month end, and that is more than sufficient for the next 6 months of foreseeable future. By that time, we will have to go for a reassessment for the next financial year, which is a normal routine work for any organization.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Parikshit Kandapal from HDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi, Rohit. Congratulations on a decent performance. So just referring to the letter which has been uploaded on the exchanges, it's about 620 crores of unbilled revenue still continues, despite not a very meaningful pickup in execution. So just wanted your sense when we move towards 550 crores of pathway towards 550 crores in the fourth quarter and 400 odd in the third quarter. So how do you see this unbilled revenue moving? So just wanted your thoughts on that.
Very good question. Now, uncertified bills is 129.32 crores. Please take the bifurcation down. 129.32 crore is the uncertified bills, which will get certified over the next 2-3 months. So we see this figure coming down in March to about 70 crores. The cost compensations from inception of the company billed so far on the clients after the clients accepting have been close to 200 crores, out of which 156 crores has been realized and recognized. Cost compensation is 44.4 crores balance receivable. I'm giving you a bifurcation of 615 crores.
Right.
And work in process is 440 crores, of which 103 crores is for CIDCO and 15 to 17 crores is for JJ Hospital. We see this figure coming down by 75 crores by March. So in totality, you will see a figure of 500 to 514 crores by March 22. The 620 crores unbilled revenue is their thought process. I cannot comment on that. They must have taken some provisional numbers or something on that front.
Okay, no, I was referring the credit note. It is mentioned there.
Yeah, that's true. But the bifurcation is what is important.
Yeah.
We have already done the work. Bills have been submitted. Once certified, we'll move to debtors.
So this more or less for about 550 crores quarterly run rate, unbilled should be about the similar number, about 500 on a sustainable basis, 500 to 550.
That's what I just told you, 614. You should be looking by March end at 500 to 514 crores.
Okay. Second question is on, so during this period of since the rating downgrade happened and now the 90 days curing period is getting over. So in the interim, did you see any challenge or face any challenge in getting your limits increased on the fund and non-fund based limits? Because your fund based limits as in the credit rating letter is almost 91% compliance, and you're looking at taking more orders now. So just wanted your sense, what's the pathway towards increasing these limits so that we can cater to the growth which may come up in the future?
Yeah, so we had repaid RBL Bank because of bill discounting requirements in Q1 before the rating issue happened. So we have sanction limits of 120 crores and the asset limits are 190 crores. Once this rating exercise is completed, we will be having unutilized limits of 70 crores on the fund-based side. Number one. Number two, as far as the LC utilization is concerned, we utilized about 110 to 115 crores at the peak, but because of increase in the commodity prices, this increase may go to 150 crores by end of Q3. So except that we have not faced any challenges. So an LC limits sanctioned at the moment is 190 crores. So what happens is many times the rating agencies do not take into consideration the unutilized LC limits because no one today buys steel on cash. You are getting LC discounting at between 4.5% to 5.5%. So why would we utilize an CC limit of 9% and 9.5%? And LC discounting even by HDFC is available at 5.25%. But with Kotak it is at 4.5%. ICICI 4.5%. So basically, LC unutilized limit also should be taken into consideration when talking about the limits available to the company for operation, isn't it?
Right. Just the last question on the CIDCO project. So earlier we had mentioned that there could be an alternate site which could be handed over to us, given there are some challenges in one of these sites. So what's the view there? And on the last tranche of mobilization advance, when is it likely to come in? Or I think 125 odd crores which was pending.
Yeah. So once the seventh plot work starts, we will be claiming the mobilization advance, remainder of about 110 or 111 crores. There was one impediment of the CRZ, which you must be aware that because you track real estate also, that the CRZ line has been reduced from 100 to 50 meters. So the sector 43, even the little bit buildings which are falling in that zone, that impediment also has been cleared, and a letter has been issued to the client requesting for immediate handover. So this is the current status of the CIDCO project. Did I miss any part of your question?
Yeah. So just one request, if we can arrange some site visit to the CIDCO there.
Well, I will be very happy. You can please touch base with Amit, and he'll be very happy to take you around, and you'll be pleasantly surprised also.
Okay, sir. Sure. That's all from my side, Rohit, and Mr. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Participants, you may press star and 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Bernie from Spark Capital. Please.
Yeah. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, we used to give total kind of opportunity pipeline that we over the next few quarters. Is it audible now?
Disturbance in the background. I can't hear you.
Is it better now?
Yes.
So just wanted to check the overall opportunity or potential for us to bid over the next 1 to 2 quarters. I think we used to give it earlier like to a 20,000 crore kind of an opportunity split across different segments like healthcare, airports, hospitals, data centers, etc. Could you highlight what is the status on this particular thing?
Sir, the bidding opportunity is obnoxiously high. It is 45,000 crore visibility. However, our order book is already very robust. Orders which are EBITDA accretive will be added. And as I've already explained, we have already added about 600 crores. Majority of that is without the value of steel and concrete in Q1 and Q2. And Q3 and Q4, we expect to add another 1,400 crores, of which I expect to add 650 to 700 crores in Q3 and remainder in Q4. So answering your question, bid pipeline is very strong. All our existing clients are on the verge of announcing new projects, closing the construction contracts, but then we also have limitations of how much we can take on our books, because till MHADA was not opening up, we were okay, but now MHADA has opened up, and obviously order book of 11,700 crore, of which our share is 4,300 crore, is equally big as CIDCO. So over there also we need to put our resources. But having said so, the strategy always has been that whatever we execute, we book that much orders at least. So you should be looking over the next 2 years that the company will at least maintain the existing profile of about 12,000 crores.
Okay. And now given we have close to 60% of the order book in public with public clients, and in light of the recent document from Department of Expenditure from Ministry of Finance regarding general instructions on this public procurement, there are a lot of positives there, of course. I'm sure you're gone through. So how do you see this really being implemented? Is it just on paper, or if it is implemented, how is it going to change the landscape? How is it going to be impactful for us?
The Ministry of Finance has prima facie, there are 2 things which are noteworthy. Number one, they have clarified many things, and one of the clarification is that if a bidder has bid, let us say 20% above the department's estimate, a proper justification can be prepared by the executive or the concerned engineer, and he did not worry about that. Which earlier was you have to be very close to the estimated price, and that is always a difficult proposition to do. Let us say a tender has been planned 1 year earlier, steel prices were 30 rupees kg, today they are 60 rupees kg, concrete has gone up by 2,000 rupees cubic meter. How can the estimate remain the same? Isn't it? So that's one the relaxation which has happened. And second very big relaxation is that single tenders can be approved, which was not the case earlier.
Correct.
So apart from all the clarifications which they have given, and to tell you that this is for this CBC guidelines or the guidelines by the Ministry of Finance are followed by all agencies across India. And these guidelines will therefore make the bidding more realistic, especially when in our sector, the total competition generally happens between 8 to 9 players in a bigger ticket size project. So this is a big positive, and I'm sure all the agencies, because it is a diktat from Ministry of Finance on behalf of CBC, will be followed very positively and diligently by all the agencies, public sector and autonomous bodies of public sector both.
Understood, sir. Hope it is beneficial to us in the future, and hope to talk to you soon. And all the best, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Participants, you may press star and 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Parikshit Kandapal from HDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the follow-up. So just a question on earlier we were planning to do the BDD chawl through a single line consolidation. So why the sudden change in recognizing it in the separating out the order book and then recognizing in the standalone revenues and a bit line by line?
You know that in a joint venture, we if you call it a joint venture, we own 35%. So the auditors have ruled out consolidation. You can only take the profit. So the other, however, we are executing this work as a joint operation. And Ind AS provides that if the work is being done on joint operations like the bank signatories are both are bank signatories, there are representation from both on the board, reserve matters are well in place. That means a true joint operation. Then we are in a position to take our share into standalone. Now that's accounting norms correction.
Yeah. So you said that 200 crores in FY22 and 700 crores is the revenue which the CV will book, and our share will be 35%, which will accrue to our P&L.
If you could just pick up your handset, please.
Yeah, so you earlier mentioned that about 200 crores of revenue and 700 in FY23 the CV will be booking and 35% will be our share, right?
That's right.
So this project and CIDCO project put together doesn't require too much of capital employment here. So I think earlier you had said that maybe for CIDCO will not take any debt also. There won't be any requirement of funding.
We haven't taken any debt. We were planning to take equipment finance, which is a part of the overall annual budget. But so far we haven't done that.
And same thing will be also in case of BDD chawl project, right? So there also our...
In BDD chawl project, the work, as you are aware, the height of the buildings have gone up from 22-story to 40-story in rehab portion, which means the number of buildings have reduced from 87 rehab to 33 rehab. One SRA of 22 floors and one school or hospital of 7 floors. So obviously the 33 buildings, we will have to fulfill the commitment given to the department and the government of Maharashtra, deploy at least 8 to 9 sets of aluminium foam work. So that capex will definitely happen, but that obviously that will be happening over the next 18 months, or next 12 months as the project buildings start. At the moment, 2 have started. We anticipate another 2 buildings to start in the current financial year, and total 10 buildings of rehab, that is 33% of the rehab portion, 1,500 crores, is expected to start by May, June of next financial year. So this is the plan basically. So the capex will also move along with this plan. So since there are 33 buildings, I don't see that we will have more than 2 repetitions of any aluminium foam work, because the delivery schedule committed are accordingly.
No, sir, I was coming more from the working capital side. So put together these 2 projects.
No, we will not be requiring anything from working capital. The cash flows are positive. We anticipate collection, as I told you, of nearly 150 crores in the current fiscal. And therefore, we do not foresee, out of which obviously you know that it's a design engineering project. design engineering itself will be close to 80-90 crores. So we don't see any reason why any requirement of working capital will come up.
So these two projects, CIDCO and BDD, will be about 60, close to 60-62% of the order book, and they will not contribute much to the working capital investment. So that means on a totality, the working capital should see a substantial improvement in the years to come, next 2-3 years, from the current level.
101%. So we are going to share with you how we have fared from September 18. That's a quarter when the IL&FS issue happened, and through the COVID and where we are in September, and what do we anticipate. So the point is, you will be able to satisfy yourself with those numbers itself, because comparing 2 quarters, 3 quarters in a construction company, to my mind, is not fair.
So we maintain the net debt zero status in next 2 years.
That continues. There's no question about it.
Okay. Okay, Rohit. That's all for my side. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Anupam Gupta from IIFL Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Rohit, hi. Just a couple of clarifications which are needed. Firstly, on the CIDCO project, based on the timelines now, what is the execution period for the balance order book which is there in CIDCO now?
See, for the CIDCO, the first interim extension is 16.4 months. The original completion was 43 months, out of which 50% time has already lapsed. So you can take another 16.4 months. But obviously, for the 7th location, they will have to give suitable extension. So at the moment, documented, it is September 9, 20, 21, 23. So 25 will be the end of CIDCO project, as per the first interim extension.
So for the 6 sites, which is 50% of work, it is in 25.
For the first 6 sites which they have handed over, they have given a 16.4 month extension with escalation. That's important. Okay. Now, when the 7th site, they give us notice to proceed, the second interim extension or the second extension will come into play. That will depend on the execution schedule which we have committed while submitting the bid. So I cannot comment on that, it would be premature. However, at the moment, with the revised completion period, first interim extension, the completion will be in 2025. However, the peak execution has to happen in the next 3 financial years. That means 23, 24, 25.
Okay, understand. And on MADA, similarly, what is the, so for the 4,500 crore order book, what is the execution period? Because you said 700 crore next year. So what is the execution period for MADA right now?
See, I tell you, MADA has 2 components. One is the fixed price. Fixed price means square feet, lump sum turnkey, design build component of 10,000 crore, and 1,800 crores is the infra work. So let me give you only for the 10,000 crore. In 10,000 crore, rehab portion is 5,300 crore.
Okay.
About 4,000 crores is the sale building component, construction cost.
Okay.
And the commercial building, which was originally 800 crore, will go up to 1,500, 1,600 crores. Okay? So basically, the contract will be revised upwards from 10,000 crore to 10,800 odd crores. Of this, by March end, as on today, we have a work front visibility of 3,800 crore. And by March, we are very confident of having revenue visibility of 4,860 crores. Okay?
Okay.
Therefore, in the current year, the revised engineering and design bills are being submitted. Physical work at site, I'll be very happy if you can, it's just next door to you. You should visit the site and come out with a report. The piling work is going on for the foundations, and we should start with the actual building works by January. The aluminium formwork is already ordered, and therefore the conservative guidance of approximately 200 crores for the current fiscal and 700 crores for the next fiscal.
Okay, and understood that. And one question there: when you say joint operations, so you'll take your share in standalone P&L, but balance sheet nothing will come in there.
It will. It's a mirror.
Okay, so 35% of everything will reflect in PL and balance sheet.
Yeah. So what happens is as simple as that it's a joint operation. Only thing is that Tata Projects follows the input method. That means whatever expenditure into the percentage is revenue, while we follow the output method. So PwC, who is the auditor for this MHADA project, will have to convert the financial statements on the output method for us. That's all, nothing else.
Okay. And you will report consolidated numbers from CQ onwards, or it will still be standalone numbers reported?
So in the consolidated, there is hardly any addition to the revenue. We have all the projects on our name except the MHADA project. One project of IGIMS that's already completed. So only the final bills are going on. So except that, we do not have any other joint venture.
Understand. Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question is from the line of Jiten Rushi from Axis Capital Limited. Please go ahead.
Thank you once again for taking my question. Sir, I have two questions on the balance sheet and cash flows. So, in the cash flow, sir, we can see the increase in debt by almost 25 crores, but probably in the cash flow from financing activity, we can see increase in debt over September last year by 25 crores. But in the overall our debt has come down. But so what kind of accounting, if I can understand? And the second question is on the other financial assets, which was around 107 crores in March, has come down to almost 54 crores. So what has changed there, sir?
1 minute. Now you were talking about the cash flow. 1 minute, please. See, first of all, the IndusInd Bank loans of about have been repaid, prepaid, whatever you may term it, in the first half of the current financial year. Increase what you see is reflecting the promoter's long-term loan, which has been given over Q1 and Q2. I think that's what you're looking at.
Okay, but sir, it is not reflected in the balance sheet, like it is showing the 288 crore of.
The 288 crore includes 53.74 crores of promoter's loan at SBI MCLR rate plus 1%.
No, so my question was, it has to be the loan amount borrowing should go up because here also we see there is an increase in borrowing, so it should go up. That was the question.
I don't see the increase in borrowing. So you are talking from last September to this September, or you are talking about June quarter to September quarter?
Yes, September to September or June quarter, obviously I know, but in cash flow September.
You can please take down the total loans in September. 1 minute, please. I don't have the number here. The total debt as on September was 289 crores. All right?
Yeah.
In March of 21, it was 286 crore. And March of 20 was 308 crores. So today it stands at, gross stands at 288 crores, including 53 crores of the promoter loan, long term. So where is the increase?
Okay, I will just take it up and discuss it.
However, you may please send a mail to Amit and he will clarify immediately.
Yeah. And so on the other financial asset, we have seen reduction. So what is the reason for reduction in other financial asset?
Yeah, please try to understand. After the Ind AS 116 and 115 earlier, the WIP, which was earlier as a stock, is identified as contract asset. Contract asset consists and comprises of three things: WIP, cost compensation, balance to be billed and received, and uncertified bills.
No, sir. I'm looking at the non-current portion of other financial asset, which includes your bank margin money. Okay.
Okay. So the remainder is the retention, which is not due and receivable within 1 year.
So this bank margin money is less than 3 months, so it is now reflecting in other financial asset current portion. Am I right?
So whichever is below that, below 1 year will be in the current. Whichever is beyond 1 year will be in non-current.
Okay, sir.
The fixed deposits and the retention deposit.
Okay. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I now hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
Thank you all for joining the call. We hope that we were able to answer all of your questions, queries. Please contact SGA, our investor relations advisors, if you require any additional information. Thank you very much and look forward to meeting you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. On behalf of IIFL Securities Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us. You may now disconnect your lines.